Hey everyone, it's Nick here, the mental health coach, and in today's little video I want to show you how you can best help someone who's having a panic attack. Don't forget to hit like and save in case you need it. A panic attack is an abrupt surge of intense fear or discomfort that reaches a peak within a couple of minutes, and it's usually fairly quick, although for the person it can feel like it's going on for a long time. These are some of the symptoms that the person who's having a panic attack can feel, and as you can see from this list, it's not a particularly pleasant thing. It can be extremely terrifying for the person, and this means that we need to be on our game, ready to show up with care and empathy and support. Now, when you're looking at this list of symptoms, you might be thinking this reads a little bit like the symptoms of a heart attack, and you'd be right. There's not a lot of difference between the list of symptoms we have for heart attack and symptoms we have for panic attacks. So whenever I'm supporting someone with a panic attack, I've got in the back of my mind that we may need 000 at some point. Now, it's really important to remember that symptoms can differ from person to person and also from panic attack to panic attack. Not only that, but the duration of a panic attack can change too. Sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer, and people can have multiple panic attacks in a row, which ends up feeling like it's just one gigantic long panic attack. Pretty terrible feeling for that person. Panic attacks are not always triggered by something. They can just show up. And this is really important for us to understand because, as I'm going to show you later, if we ask our person, hey, what triggered your panic attack? And they don't know, we might just be making them even more anxious. So, how do you help this person that's having a panic attack? Well, identify yourself if they don't know you. You can ask them, do you know what's happening? You can even ask them if they've had a panic attack before. If they have and they know what that felt like, then they might be able to tell you that what they're going through today also feels like a panic attack. We can also just reassure them, tell them that they're safe. They might be disoriented or confused and they might need that kind of empathy and support from us. And you might also think about asking yes or no questions here, as opposed to big, long, open questions, because of what that person's going through, they just might not be able to actually do that for you. So make it easier for them by asking yes or no questions, or even questions that can be answered with a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a nod, or a shake of the head. One of the key messages we need to tell this person that's having the panic attack is that it is frightening, but it's not life-threatening, even though it might feel that way for the person. So we can tell them that even though what they're going through right now is terrifying, these symptoms of the panic attack and the panic attack itself will pass. This person might tell you, I feel like I'm going crazy, and it's important to let them know that they're not, that they're safe, that they're with you, and that you're looking after them. They might even say something like this. They might say, I feel so embarrassed, or I feel so ashamed. And it's really important that we let them know that there's nothing to be embarrassed about, there's nothing to be ashamed of, they're just going through a health problem, and that you're there to support them. You can just ask them, how do you like to be helped? You know, sometimes people will be able to answer this, other times they won't, but it's a really nice thing to be able to say to that person, a really respectful way to support them. Hey, what can I do to help you right now? Here's what you do to support someone who's having a panic attack. First of all, acknowledge that what they're experiencing is uncomfortable, terrifying, awful. You know, acknowledge that emotion that they're feeling. Acknowledge that it feels real for them. And importantly, speak reassuringly and in a confident manner. Give them some space, remove obvious stresses, and try to control the scene. Sometimes there'll be people around that are looking on or whatever. You know, sometimes you just gotta look after what's going on around that person. You know, getting help, asking people to leave, asking people to put their phones away and what have you. But at the core of it, we're there to help them get through this whole experience whilst that storm rolls over, and we're staying calm and supportive and warm and emotionally attached to them. Here's what not to do. So we don't dismiss or ignore what that person's feeling, of course, and we don't want to minimize it. You know, we don't want to say, don't panic, or you don't have anything to worry about, or you're overreacting, or, you know, just calm down, as if this is something that they can just do. It's not super helpful. It can actually make them feel a lot more anxious. So these are the things we don't want to do. Don't criticize them. Don't overwhelm them with too much talk. You're really there to support them and give them whatever they need. So read the room a little bit. You know, if you're trying to help them and you can see that what you're doing is overwhelming them, pull back a little bit. Just sit there with them whilst that panic kind of resolves, and that's the job. So don't pressure them. You know, you don't need to do any of these things. That storm is going to pass. Try not to grab them, touch them, hold them, all those sorts of things, because you don't quite know how that person's going to interpret that when it's happening. So just kind of be there, be close, be connected with them, but don't overwhelm them. And if you did nothing else, here are the essentials. First of all, stay calm. Speak clearly and slowly and be patient. Be positive, you know. You can say things like this is okay, this will pass soon. You know, this panic attack will come and go. It's okay, we don't need to do anything. We just need to sit here and let it do its thing. You can ask them to do coping strategies. So some people like to do breathing, some people like to count things. That's fine. What I always suggest is that if you ask someone to do something like control their breath or look at things or name things or whatever it might be, just keep an eye on your person and see if that's helping them or making them more stressed. And if it's making them more stressed, just let them know, don't worry about that. You don't need to do anything. We'll just sit here and let this pass. Basically, you're there to help them whilst that storm passes through. That's it. And as long as you're with them, you've got an eye on them, you can look after them, and if something looks like it's escalating, getting worse, then absolutely, you're right there to help them. After the panic attack, it can be a really good idea just to make sure that they're okay, and you know, before you leave them, just make sure they're okay, make sure they've got supports in place. If they don't know where to get support, you can give them some resources, maybe some websites, things to read, that kind of thing, and let them know that if this happens again, there's effective help that's available. Well, my friends, that's how you support someone who's going through a terrifying experience that we call a panic attack. Hopefully you found that useful. If you have, hit like, hit save, and maybe share it with your friends. I'm Nick McEwen Hall, the mental health coach. I'll see you next time.